Welcome to Table Talk, a 12-step journey with Nick Robinson.
Hi, and welcome to The Conversation. I'm Nick Robinson. I'm here with Rick Lanham as we continue our Table Talk series around the 12 steps of recovery. Today we are on step number 10. And so we're just going to get started. Rick, what can you tell me about step number 10?
Step number 10 gets us into the continuous life portions of step 10, 11, and 12, and is continued to take inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
When we are wrong, we promptly admitted it. So one of the things we've talked about in several of the steps leading up to this is how some people might revisit those steps. These steps are a little different in that they are meant to be continuously ongoing, not a one-time, not even a revisit, but this is something like a way of life at this point.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the 12 steps is not like you sit down, you read the 12 steps, you turn the tassel, and you graduate. Yeah. It's not like you ever get done. Exactly. No. This step is interesting in a couple of different ways because I think of like inventory. When you think of inventory, the first thing I think of is like a retail store keeping their inventory like a profit and loss. Mm-hmm. And same thing goes with the steps. You profit from doing them, and if you don't do them, especially in recovery, there's a huge loss. Yeah. If you need recovery and you don't do these steps, you stay in that spiral. You stay in that downward space. The other thing that happened that I knew for me, working the steps multiple times, in steps 4, 6, and 7, interchangeably, we discovered words like making a list of our fearless and searching moral inventory. Mm-hmm. Then there was a discovery of our character defects. Then there was our shortcomings. And interchangeably, moral, character defects, and shortcomings, those later on get used as interchangeably. But there's a big difference between those three things. Sure. And so I had to work through the differences between those, but continuing to take an inventory. So how often do you want to weigh your profits and your losses? So as I work those programs and I work these steps, I have to discern how often do I want to do that? Mm-hmm. Well, how sharp do I want my knife is the question.
Yes, absolutely.
So that goes for my recovery, just like it would be with discipleship. So do I want to go on a men's retreat once a year? Mm-hmm. Do I want to only keep track of my inventory once a year? Or do I only want to go to church once a week, read my Bible? The question is spiritually fit, The promise of step 10 ends with we do react to recover so long as we stay in fit spiritual condition, which to me is huge. So then I think about, in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, there is a suggestion of inventory. And so there's a couple of them. So I think about taking a up-on awakening when I wake up in the morning. Okay. So I'll say a prayer. Mm-hmm. As I retire at night, I'll do an evening prayer and I'll look back at my day. But Rick is a different creature. There's this little phrase that we use sometimes in our meetings that says, have I gotten irritable? How's it go? Irritable, discontent, I can't remember. Mine is itchy, gritchy, and twitchy.
Yeah, you remember your version.
Yeah, my version is do I get out of sorts? And I can tell you, my brother-in-law used to call me sometimes, and he'd go, "How you doing?" And I would say, "Oh, I'm doing okay right now." So for me, sometimes it's like, but if I'd go, I'm fine. He goes, oh, you're behind the wheel. Well, that's where I'm the most, that's when my counterpart, my nemesis comes out. And he, when Rick Lanham's going to be the most irritable and discontent is going to be behind the wheel, because that's where my shortcoming comes out. There's this little demon that comes out when Rick gets behind the wheel. And my sister gave me a token one time, and it's a black token with gold letters on it. It just says 10 minutes. So if I have to do that's called a spot check inventory.
Okay. And
the spot check is when I know that something is going wrong in my head and my spirit that says, Rick, you need to just right this second, you need to stop. And we can convert that into our spiritual condition as well, and just say something is wrong. So I have to just stop. And that's kind of like Scripture says, be still.
So some of this is you notice something going on inside of you, and you're like, oh, I know the remedy or the response to this feeling, to the emotions that I'm having, because these are not productive, healthy. They might be leading me to relapse if I live in these rather than pausing to take this inventory. So you notice a signal, then you take an inventory.
Well, as opposed to looking at my watch and it being 11:15 or 11:30 in the morning and going, well, I've screwed up, my attitude sucks, I might as well have a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the last thing that you want to do, right?
Right.
So as I was reading through step 10 in this book that you've given me, thank you very much. As I'm trying to continue to learn, and we've talked about so far in these steps, we've taken a lot of inventory about really tough things. And in this chapter, it seems like when you're taking an inventory here, a continuous inventory, it's not only the hard things that you're looking at, but you might be looking for the things that you did well and have cause to celebrate, maybe not celebrate too much, the book points out, because celebration has been cause for drinking or whatever as well. But it's not just beating yourself up, but it's also, well, what did go right today? Is that true? Is that like your experience in this as well?
Well, like you said, celebrate or to numb. There's always an extreme. And believe me, as anybody that's struggling with an addiction, hey, that went really well. Let's go get some cake.
Yeah.
Cake will solve everything. I think it's in chapter 7 of the 12 and 12. It's referred to as we'll find our comfort. Whatever it is that comforts us. That was great. I deserve to buy myself a new shirt or to order a new dress or get on QVC or whatever. Hey, the day's gone well. They stop for gas and some compulsion hits and oops, I just bought 5 more scratch-offs. So whatever it is that feeds the adrenaline or rewards, I feel better now. And so we always, whether we're drowning that emotion or we're rewarding that emotion, we find something that gives us pleasure, as opposed to finding a balance in our life, which is step 10, 11, and 12, getting to a place where we bring consistency in our walk and our talk, and stabilize that confusion and that chaos that we talked about in step 1 that causes the unmanageability.
So is this to help us not to get too high or too low? Is that so we're trying to get a balance where we're able to maintain kind of an even keel going through life, so we're not having those emotional extremes? Is that part of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the cold air and the craziness of the wind at the top of the mountain any more than I do the frigidity and the darkness in the hole.
Yeah. And I guess it's not like a lack of emotion, but it's like being in that serene space or that centered space is what.
Understand the word serenity and we will know peace.
Yeah, exactly. As we talked about in our episode on prayer, when we kind of did that deep dive on the serenity prayer.
Right. And somewhere in between those two places is something that for most of us, we would like to call that normal,
Yeah.
but I don't know what normal is. And that third line in the serenity prayer that we talked in the episode on prayer is what's called up here, and down here is what's called the wisdom to know the difference.
Absolutely.
And when I'm a crazy wreck, I don't know the difference between up here and down here.
Yeah.
Because I can't see it clearly.
Yeah, from that place of serenity and peace, we were able to make wise decisions and clear decisions and clear discernments in those places.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that's our intro to step 10. We continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
Can
And
I
so
throw one other thing in here real quick?
One more thing.
The other little trap in this particular phraseology is promptly admitted it.
Yes.
The promptness of this, for me, the struggle was, I'm not in a hurry to do that.
No.
Because I still have my shortcoming. I still find this inventory. I still have a shortcoming of procrastination, so I will put
Amen.
off the admission. And the reason is I still fight the need to control the fact that I don't want to admit that I have that.
Yeah.
So
I want to ask one follow-up question.
I bet you do.
How prompt is prompt enough? Is there like does it have to be in the moment? Like if I'm mad at you right now, I need to admit it? Or like an hour from now, if I notice, I was mad in that situation, can I like admit it then? Like how prompt is prompt enough?
I think that is, man, that's a great question.
It feels like I'm trying to weasel out of it, honestly. Like that's the root of this question. Maybe it's like, well,
the minute I start to rationalize and justify it,
Yeah.
it's too long.
Too long.
As soon as it strikes me, and I will refer to that as conviction, I need to pick up the phone or come back through that door and say, hey, Nick, I handled that inappropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, guess what? It's going to end up on my step 8. I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to have to come back and make an amends, and
later.
those aren't fun.
yeah, it's easier
We
to
talked
do it in the
about it.
moment than to have to come back later.
Absolutely.
That's wisdom right there.
There you go.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our introduction to step number 10. We'll be right back with Dirk, our guest, as we continue this conversation. All right, welcome back to the conversation as we continue our table talk conversation about the step number 10 on this path of recovery. For this part of a conversation, we have Dirk here with us. And Dirk, our first question with our guests is always, why did you say yes? So why did you say yes to being here on this conversation today?
I was a bit reticent
Yeah.
in the beginning, just because of the program of recovery has a lot to do with anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
But then very quickly I thought, wait a minute, my anonymity is no longer important to me. And I have seen this program work in thousands and thousands of lives.
Yeah.
And so anything that I might be able to, however smallly do to propagate that is why I'm here.
Well, and to see it work in thousands of lives, I mean, that's quite the experience. To know thousands of lives, thousands of stories that have been touched by working these steps and the life they bring to people's lives. So we're talking about step number 10 in particular. What's challenging about step number 10?
It used to be challenging when I was still so self-focused on recognizing when I had harmed somebody. And so, but the longer I stayed sober, the more that it was easy for me to recognize that, usually within seconds, sometimes minutes, sometimes not until I get on my knees at night to thank God for that day of sobriety, but also to do an inventory at that moment to see where I might have harmed somebody. And there's been times that I've picked up the phone, not a lot, but there have been times I picked up the phone at 10 o'clock at night and said, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you have this awareness now after practicing this for a number of years to be able to notice in the moment frequently when you've wronged somebody. But sometimes you notice it at night, getting ready for bed, doing that inventory of the day, and you respond still in that moment.
Yes.
Yeah. So as you've seen other people go through this, where do people get hung up on step number 10?
We have such a need to be right. And so we think whatever we said or did at that moment was right. It was the right thing to do. And it's just for me, I still have that need to be right.
Yeah.
And I have that pointed out to me by somebody that I love very much. And every once in a while she says, you really have a strong need to be right. So sometimes that blinds you to what you've actually done.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting, because what this step doesn't do, or even this whole journey and process doesn't do, is like take away our desire to be right all of the time, and or at least think that we're right all of the time. But what it does is kind of like rounds the rough edges off of it, so we can recognize that need is going on in us, and we can then respond appropriately instead of defensively or trying to justify our behaviors and our thoughts. Is that am I on the right track there?
You're exactly on the right track.
Okay, so imagine I've gone through steps 1 through 9, and I'm on step 10, and I don't know how I feel about this. How do you counsel somebody who's newly in this step and is unsure about kind of the work?
Well, I don't do a lot of counseling anymore.
Yeah.
But in the day when I worked with a lot of sponsees, and I don't anymore, I have a lot of people that I stay in touch with over time.
Absolutely.
And maybe I've been their sponsor at some point, but we've just remained in that kind of a relationship, but also with a deep friendship.
Yeah.
Then I usually hear it. I'm like, I am really angry about something today. Somebody I'm talking to. What's going on? And well, somebody said something, and I thought I was right. And so just when they can say that, then that often is enough. They'll look at what it was, and then I can say, well, you know what you got to do. And it's usually just about that simple. And the longer you do this, the longer you do it, the easier it becomes, and all the hard stuff is pretty much gone.
Okay. So what makes it easier over time, do you think?
There's no shortcut. It's just taken a long time. It continues to take everything that it takes. For me, that's going to meetings. I still read AA material. I do the third step prayer a lot in that remove from me the bondage of self, because it's still all about me. And when I can recognize that, it just all becomes easier, and you see it instantly, mostly instantly.
Okay.
And take whatever the next turn is to walk away from that and go back into that place of joy and peace and happiness and serenity and all the fun things that we get with being sober.
So I hear two things there. One, there's no shortcuts. So this is the process that works. You can't skip it. You can't do it differently. This is the process. And so if you want to get to that place, that promise of serenity, that second part, this is the path that you walk. So not only is there a path to get there, but then there's a reward for following that path. And especially once you've reached it, you want to get back there. So I'm thinking about discipleship again, of like following Jesus in this. And this just sounds like something a lot of people could benefit from. And this may be kind of a vague question. So Rick, if you want to jump into, sometimes I have these, half-formed questions, but like, how would the world benefit if all of us could practice something like a step 10 practice of continuously taking a personal inventory and admitting when we're wrong? What would that change about us or the world?
You want to go first?
Oh, what a wonderful place it would be.
Yeah. It's funny that he said that because I was thinking the same thing. But in the big picture, we all want to think we're right.
No.
We all want to do it our way. But then again, we also know that doing it our way is what put us in the rooms. Doing it our way, as opposed to sticking to a plan, sticking to a program, following someone else. And, to your question, Jesus said, pick up your mat and follow me. I got in the rooms, and it was, and Dirk is one of them. I looked at people like him that had done this before and followed a plan, followed the steps. And they said, find somebody that has what you want and who has the better life, and follow them. Ask for their help, follow their example, follow their model, and do what they're doing. And that's one of the reasons that when you said, why did you say yes? And that's one of the reasons that I asked him to be one of our interviewees.
Yeah.
So
because he set the example for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that I said, that's one of the guys that, he goes to a lot of meetings, and I kept seeing his face at a lot of these meetings. So there you go.
So as I'm kind of, Dirk, did you have any more response to that question before I ask another one? No. Okay. So as I'm picturing this, I'm trying to think of continue to take a personal inventory and promptly admitted it when I was wrong. I imagine that there are people that it's easier to admit that I'm wrong to than others. Do you all find that? Like that there are some places like that person, I have a relationship that I've built with them, and I know that when I'm wrong, I can go to them, admit it, and they'll receive it. And then there may be other people where, man, I know they don't even like me. If I go and admit that I'm wrong to them, they're just going to rub it in my face or something. How do people normally respond when you admit that you're wrong to them?
Oh, the funny part is they usually don't even know it.
Yeah.
You did what to me? And, well, I didn't feel that from you at all. So sometimes I am overly critical of myself. And I can fall into that trap. But that happens more often than not.
Okay.
As I said earlier, though, fortunately, it's just not something that happens very much anymore because I try to engage my brain before I open my mouth. And,
it's a muscle that you've exercised, and now it works.
Yes.
Yeah, you've strengthened it to now it's a practice and every day. So how long does it take that to happen for a person? Like if I'm on step 10 today, and this is something that's hard for me, and I give me a range because obviously it's going to be different for every person. How long does it take to go from this is something hard that I'm still not super happy about to this is like breathing for me, and it's a muscle that I've developed?
It took a long time.
Yeah. Are we talking a year, 10 years?
I might say 20.
Okay.
I think I still operated an awful lot into self, even in that length of sobriety.
Yeah.
Just had to make a lot of mistakes because of that. Still, wanting to kind of be in control of the situation. I made some bad judgments because I wasn't right, and I did some things that were contrary to my serenity. It's just made bad decisions because made wrong decisions because of self. And so that's just something that took a long time, and I just do it every day. It's just not something that ever stops.
It's interesting because this step and a lot of this step work is about becoming more aware of ourselves, but not making it about ourselves. So noticing what's going on inside of us, but not making it about what's going on inside of us. Does that?
I would agree.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things about step 10 mentions in here is one of the reasons you do this, a continued inventory, is because you also have a desire to grow. So you're taking, like, it's not just about a mechanism, but it's about a desire, and then pointing and discovering places that you can continue to grow. What kind of growth do you see in people's practices and lives from doing this kind of step work?
How do you describe? I'm trying to think of the
question.
I'm trying to think of the word. How do you describe a creek that goes from tumultuous to flowing, less so? I mean, it's like gauging whitewater rapids and putting a scale on it. It either has white caps, it has some white caps, it has less white caps, it has no white caps. It's a brook, or it's just has a little current, it has no current. It's dry. It's just flowing, or it's just still. I mean, that's a hard question to put a gauge on, to where then all of a sudden I think about, then the disciples say, who is he that he stills the waters and that's calm? How do you put a degree on that? I don't know that I just answered your question, but at some point in time I went from chaos to calm.
So the growth can be hard to measure.
Right.
Maybe even hard to notice as it happens little by little.
Well, and that's to go way back in the episodes. The very first question is, where does it go from an I to a we program with me and Dirk? Dirk, we're talking about it becomes a we program when all of a sudden I realize, I don't know if I used this analogy before, a butterfly can't see its own colors. It doesn't know what it has. It just knows it no longer slithers on the ground. It's taken flight, but it needs somebody else to come alongside of it and say, hey, I see your character's changed. Your countenance has changed. You are a different man. You're calmer. You're patient. You're caring. You're supportive of others. You think of others differently than you used to. You inspire me. You're helping me change and grow. But he might not see that in himself. But it takes, now it's not an I, it's a we program now. That's hard to put into words.
But I think it's easy to understand how if one person, like if just in step 10 work, if someone says, I admit that I've wronged you and I want to make amends for that right now, and then the other person's like, later on, I've wronged you and I want to make it, like, it becomes a two-way street, not just a one person apologizing to everyone else all the time, but admitting to each other and knitting together deep relationships that are outside of the self.
Right.
Well, any last thoughts on step number 10 as we wrap up this part of our conversation? No? No?
Just do it.
And I think my last thought is, like, this sounds beneficial to a lot of people. Like, the world would be better if we all practice this. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this part of our conversation. On step number 10, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the conversation as we wrap up our conversation here about step number 10. Now, Rick, I'm imagining somebody watching this conversation and being intrigued by this idea of the growth that it leads to, perhaps the freedom that it leads to. But they're not sure how to get started, how to actually do this continuous inventory, or how to even like apologize to somebody. Like, what are the practical steps to doing something like this?
Well, in the break, I was thinking about somebody watching this particular episode and it being their first one. And they're thinking, how do I take an inventory of myself?
Yeah.
Not even the promptly admit it, but just take an inventory of my life. And that's the first thing that they saw. And the first thing that comes to mind is the first question that we addressed in the very first opening episode is recovery for me? And I'm trying to piece this all together in my head real quick. And the first thing that comes to my mind is my life in order? Do the pieces fit? Dirk said something about, do I have a need to be right? Do I have the need to be in control? Do I feel content? Kind of like Paul says, I've learned the secret of being content in whatever space I find myself in. Well, that immediately triggers in my head, do I even like the space that I'm in? Not let alone being content, but do I like the space that I'm in? Yeah. So those become some initial inventories. And then we go to like inventorying the steps. Is my life unmanageable? And if it seems not even unmanageable, do I have a concept of what my life would look like based on what we've talked about in just this episode? Do I experience highs and lows? Is there any sense of calm around me? And that would just be the first 5 questions that I would inventory. Yeah. And if from just watching this episode, that would be a starting place. Yeah.
Well, I think too, like maybe your life feels put together for the most part. Maybe it is or isn't actually put together, but it feels like, okay, you're doing good enough. But maybe you have a relationship with a kid or a spouse or a friend or a coworker that's just like not going well. And like, I think like we have those relationships in our lives. And so I'm like, I think like this step number 10, this kind of work of acknowledging, being able to acknowledge when you're wrong and taking like a real look at that, and then like apologizing for what you've done wrong and then just kind of leaving it there could really help a lot of relationships and a lot of situations, even if the rest of your life feels put together.
Well, the perfect barometer for a relationship that might be in trouble or may need to be just relationships in general is if your cell phone rings and your caller ID has a relationship, somebody that you have, and you see who it is and you go, oh, not now. That might be one that you need to consider having a conversation with.
No.
For whatever reason. I'm not talking about one that says scam likely or, some political, somebody that's raising money. But if it's somebody in your inner circle and you go, I really don't feel like talking to them right now, that's one that might need an inventory.
No. So you could do the inventory on even an individual relationship.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not just
why do I feel that way about that person? There could be some unresolved issue, conflict, bitterness, resentment, whatever. It might need an inventory.
No.
Just saying.
So, if you've worked steps 1 through 9 on your way to step number 10, you've done a lot of really hard work of apologizing to people or making amends with people, those kinds of things. For somebody who may not have done that work already, they might be really intimidated about reaching out to someone to admit that they're wrong. Like, how can you prepare yourself to admit that you're wrong?
I'd start with prayer. Go back and watch the episode on prayer first, which was people relating and yearning. And if you do that, then you would want to relate and yearn for the correction of that relationship anyway.
No. So here on step 10, we're remembering that this isn't easy work necessarily. It's ongoing work. These are the steps that become a way of living in a way of life. And Yeah, that's step number 10. Acknowledging, let me turn to continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So that's step number 10. Thank you for joining us here on The Conversation as we talk about our 12-step journey. I hope you've learned something and you feel encouraged. We'll see you next time for step number 11. Thank you, Rick.
Welcome to Table Talk, a 12-step journey with Nick Robinson.